The holidays are upon us, typically a time to celebrate with big meals, sweets, and sometimes drinks. But what should you do if your stomach and digestive issues start acting up during this time? And how can you tell if your stomach discomfort or digestive issues are the result of holiday indulgence or something a little more serious? Our guest, Dr. Raj, is here to explain what's normal and what's a signal of something more serious. Good morning, Dr. Raj. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you doing?
Well, I didn't want to tackle the word, but why don't you say what you specialize
I don't blame you.
in?
I say it a lot, so I can say it, not you. Gastroenterologist. Which is a fancy way of saying I'm a stomach doctor.
Well, thank you. So, Dr. Raj, how can you tell if your stomach discomfort and digestive issues are the result of holiday indulgence or something more serious?
It's a great question this time of year because a lot of people are feeling the bloating or the abdominal distress after some of those holiday events or holiday meals. And the question is it just that? Is it just a temporary thing because you ate too much or you ate the wrong foods? Or is it a sign of something more serious? Because we do know that 60 to 70 million Americans suffer from digestive disorders. And that those could be things like irritable bowel syndrome, celiac, or even EPI, a condition that many people have never even heard of. So, in terms of how do you figure it out, one thing is to pay attention to the pattern of your symptoms and pay attention to the frequency. Is this happening often enough that it's affecting your ability to function, to live your life? So maybe it affects your sleep, or it affects your ability to exercise, or just your desire to go to work, or socialize with your family because you're not feeling well. It could affect that. When it gets to that point, it's definitely time to pay close attention, but also to talk to your doctor and dig a little deeper to find out, is there something treatable, a condition that you should be aware of so that you can start to feel better?
Now, for those who may struggle with stomach and digestive issues, can you provide some tips to help them make themselves responsible meal decisions during the holiday season? Because I'm terrible when it comes to meal decisions.
Yeah, well, you're definitely not alone. But yes, we'll try to help you with some tips. One tip that I really recommend is making sure you don't show up at any holiday event or party or meal on an empty stomach. And that's because if you're starving when you go there, it's going to be very hard to exercise self control and moderation and say no to that third, fourth, or fifth helping of food. What you want to do is have a healthy, balanced meal earlier in the day, something that includes some protein, some healthy fats and carbs, and really, give yourself the fuel so that when you go there, you can enjoy the food, yes, but you're not going to overindulge. The other thing is if you do have a known food intolerance, so for example, if you're intolerant to dairy or if you can't tolerate wheat or gluten, then go prepared with some either snack or even a whole meal on your own. Don't rely on your host or hostess to provide that for you. Make sure there's going to be something there that you can eat without any issues. And finally, once again, paying attention to your symptoms and making sure you can bring those to your doctor so that they can really help you with all the information.
Dr. Raj, you just spoiled my whole holiday because I gotta go and I gotta have the meal. I gotta have the turkey, the ham. I gotta have the roast. And at the end of the day, I gotta have room for peach cobbler. That's not fair.
You can have all those things, but have them once. Don't keep going back for more and more. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So, what is EPA and what are the symptoms?
Sure.
EPI,
So
excuse me.
yeah, that's okay. EPI stands for exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. And I'm happy to partner with AbbVie on raising awareness about this condition because it's quite unknown to a lot of people. What it means is your pancreas does not produce sufficient amounts of pancreatic enzymes. These are the enzymes that help your body digest your food properly. So if you have EPI, you may experience abdominal pain, diarrhea, bloating, you may have weight loss, Or you may notice a change in your stool so that they're floating on top of the water. They're not easy to flush down, or they have an oily appearance. And some of the symptoms I just mentioned are also associated with a lot of other GI conditions, things like Crohn's disease or IBS. And that's why it's not an easy diagnosis to make on your own. So there's a great resource, identifyepi.com, where you can find a symptom tracker that can be very helpful, but also talking to your doctor, bringing all the information, all your symptoms to them so they can really investigate and get to the bottom of the issue.
Now, doctor, can you give us any resources where we can learn a lot more about this?
Absolutely. So the website identifyepi.com has a lot of great resources, including a symptom tracker, and my own website, drroshiniraj.com. And finally, your own doctor really should be a resource for you, and making sure that you feel very comfortable and to be open and honest. I know these topics are not the easiest to talk about, but your doctor's office should be a safe space to do that, and make sure you use it as that.
Dr. Raj, one more question. It's kind of interesting, all these symptoms you talked about and the different new terms that are being used today. Do people still get ulcers?
Yes, they do. It's a great question. What's interesting about ulcers is we have actually learned relatively recently in the last few decades what causes ulcers. And while we used to think it might be stress related or other reasons, actually, it turns out there's a bacteria called H. pylori that causes the vast majority of ulcers. It's a very common bacteria, actually. And so people do still get ulcers. But yeah, now we at least have a better understanding of it and a better way to treat them.
Sounds good. Dr. Raj, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. I really appreciate all that information, except for the idea of I can't eat what I want to eat when I go holiday eating.
I understand, and thank you for listening, and have a very happy holiday and a healthy one.
I'm, I'm going to try. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.